Hello friends, in this video lecture we will discuss about steps of respiration. In previous video lecture we already discussed about respiratory organ under human respiratory system. Now here how respiration process is just going to be completed in respiratory organ, that is lungs and rest of the body parts like body cells as well as tissues. So these are 5 steps that are given in NCERT. So this is exactly what is given in NCERT. We are going to discuss about that. So first step, that is breathing, also known as pulmonary ventilation. We already discussed lungs, also known as pulmons. That's why this is pulmonary ventilation. Here in this process there is exchange of air in between atmosphere and lungs. Atmospheric air is comparatively enriched with oxygen with respect to the air which is filled inside the lungs, and alveolar or lungs air is comparatively enriched with carbon dioxide with respect to atmospheric air. So atmospheric air enters inside the lungs and lungs air just passes out in atmosphere. This is the first step, that is breathing or pulmonary ventilation. This step also known as external respiration, and this occurs only when respiration is indirect. Indirect respiration occurs only in those organisms which have respiratory organ. As in case of human beings, respiratory organ is a pair of lungs. Second step, this is diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide across the alveolar membrane. So here this is alveolar membrane that is given. This structure that is spherical, this structure is alveoli. The space which is present inside the alveoli is alveolar cavity, and its membrane, this is known as alveolar membrane, that is a single layered cells. This is composed by squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium. So this is unicellular thick layer, and here the oxygen or air that is enriched with oxygen, that is atmospheric air, enters inside, and from blood there will be exchange. So this exchange is actually taking place here across the alveolar membrane. The blood capillaries which is present here, this is about blood capillary. This is about the blood capillary which are present along with each alveoli, and blood capillaries are also made by a single layer of cell. This single layer of cell is known as endothelium. This is endothelium. So in NCERT this is given. If we find out the thickness of both these layers, the thickness of both these layers here, this is less than 1 millimeter, less than 1 millimeter. Now here in between these layers there is also another layer that is known as basement membrane. So actually this is a tri-layered structure. Here this is squamous epithelium of alveolar membrane, this one is endothelium of blood capillary, and here in between these two there is presence of basement membrane. This is basement membrane. So actually basement membrane present in both basement membrane of squamous epithelium as well as basement membrane of endothelium, but here they counted as one. So alveoli and blood capillaries, they are present here in a tri-layered structure. How many layers are here? This is 3 layers. One of alveolar membrane, one another of endothelial, that is blood capillary membrane, and the third one that is in between this is basement membrane. Here we discuss the thickness is less than 1 millimeter. So this very thin surface area is helpful for gaseous exchange. So this is one out of the two sites where gaseous exchange occurs or takes place in body. This is one side. Here oxygen of alveoli just getting exchanged with blood, and carbon dioxide of blood is getting exchanged with the alveoli. So this is second step, that is diffusion of O2 and CO2 across alveolar membrane. Now third step, this is about further conduction or transportation of these gases from one side to another side. Like here the oxygen, or this is oxygenated blood. Here these are RBCs, which are the major carrier of oxygen. Here in RBC there is a blood pigment, that is hemoglobin, red in color. So this hemoglobin just binded with oxygen and carrying this oxygen to the every body and cells or tissues, every body cells or tissues of our body. So this is step number third, that is transportation of gases by blood. The fourth step, this is diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide between blood and tissues. Here like this second step we can say this is diffusion of O2 and CO2 here across the cell membrane, across the cell membrane of every and each cell of our body. So same as here, in this case what we see in alveoli, there is exchange of O2 and CO2. O2 of alveoli is getting mixed in blood and CO2 of blood is getting mixed in alveoli. While at the cell surface, suppose just for example this is cell, this is cell here. When blood reaches to this side, here this one is endothelial layer. So this cell is carrying huge amount of carbon dioxide, while here inside this blood capillary there is huge amount of oxygen, or comparative we can say here oxygen is comparatively more in blood or inside the blood capillary, while here inside the cell carbon dioxide is comparatively more. Why here is more carbon dioxide? So this we discuss here in fifth step. That is because of respiration or internal or intracellular respiration, which is just completed here inside the cell. So this oxygen from here just getting mixed inside the cells across the membrane, and this carbon dioxide is getting mixed here inside the alveolar blood. So this is fourth step, that is diffusion of O2 and CO2 in between blood and tissue. So this is the second site of our body where gaseous exchange actually taking place. So these are two sites, or we can say only these are two sites where actual gaseous exchange is taking place in our body. The first site, this is inside the lungs, that is alveoli or across the alveolar membrane. Second, this is at every cell level where the process is going across the cell membrane. Now fifth step, this is about utilization of oxygen by the cells for catabolic reaction. So this point is very important. This oxygen which is taken in from blood to cells, this oxygen is getting involved in breakdown of food. As we know here, this is glucose and this one is oxygen. In presence of a number of enzymes, there is conversion of this glucose into carbon dioxide plus water, and the energy what is released here is stored in form of ATP, that is known as energy currency. So this is ATP. So here during this process, that is catabolic reaction, and catalytic, catabolic because of breakdown of this glucose into carbon dioxide, and catabolic because here in this process there is involvement of a number of enzyme. So the process occurs inside the cytoplasm, which is known as glycolysis, while rest of the events occurring in mitochondria of cell, that is second largest cell organelle in plant cell, while largest organelle in animal cell. So inside mitochondria there will be link reaction, there will be Krebs cycle as well as electron transport system. Now finally there will be release of carbon dioxide during the process. This carbon dioxide, as we discuss here, taken by blood or getting mixed into blood. From blood this reaches again back to alveoli, and from alveoli this reverted back here into atmosphere. So these are the 5 steps here. Out of these 2 steps, these 2 points are the very important. These are the sites where gaseous exchange taking place, and this portion is also very important. Here we discuss the total thickness in between alveolar membrane and blood capillaries. This is less than 1 millimeter, and here this is a tri-layered structure where diffusion of gases taking place. So squamous epithelium, a unicellular layer of cells in alveoli. Endothelium, this is also a unicellular layer, or this is also squamous epithelium of blood capillary, that is better known as endothelium, and in between this there is a basement membrane. So that's all for this video, and in the next coming video we will discuss about the mechanism of breathing or the mechanism of respiration. So thanks for watching, and again if you like this then please share, comment and subscribe the channel.